am Dr. P. Ravishankar, Professor of Anatomy, SRM Dental College and Hospital, Ramapuram Campus, SRM IST. Today, I am going to explain about the muscles of facial expression and also the structures present in the deeper plane. Before going to see the muscles of facial expression, first we should know the extent or the boundary of the face. Superiorly, the face which extends at the hairline in the adult, and inferiorly that which extends up to the chin and also base of the mandible. Laterally, that which extends up to the auricle of the both sides. The face skin, which will be having more sebaceous gland as well as sweat gland. So the sebaceous gland, which will secrete, it's a secretion which will be keeping us oily nature of the face. Then sweat gland, that which will maintain the temperature of the temperature of the body. Before going to see the muscles of the face, just we have to make an incision. That incision you have to make from root of nose till the level of the chin. So that incision you have to carry it out from the root of nose, dorsum of the nose, tip of the nose, philtrum of upper lip, and also the midline of the lower lip towards the chin of the mandible. So after making the longitudinal incision or median incision, we can make a transverse incision from angle of the mouth. Along that angle of the mouth till the posterior aspect of the ramus of mandible. Even after making that longitudinal incision as well as the horizontal incision, we have to make 3 encircle incision, one along with the palpebral fissure, another one along with the nostril, then another one along with the oral fissure. So after making this encircling of the incision, carefully we have to reflect the skin, because so all the muscles of the face which will get inserted to the skin of the face after taking origin from the corresponding aspect of the bones. So due to that firm attachment of the muscle with the skin, the contraction of the muscle will give rise to various expression. So because of that expression, we are saying as muscles of facial expression. So actually, the face which mainly concerned with the face also known as a countenance, and make a non-verbal communication between the person. So after that incision, we can reflect that lower flap of the skin towards the lower part of the mandible, and upper flap we have to reflect along with the auricle on the lateral side. Then immediately after reflection of the skin, we can see the superficial fascia containing superficial muscles of the face. Most of the muscle present in the superficial plate. So deep to that you can have the facial artery, and also we can have the branches of the terminal part of the facial nerve, that which emerges along with the anterior part of the parotid gland. So muscles can be classified into the muscles of the scalp or forehead. We are having occipito frontalis. The muscles of the orbit or palpebral region, you have 3 muscles. They are orbicularis oculi, carucata supercilii, levator palpebrae superioris. That levator palpebrae superioris, it is not a muscles of the face, it is the muscle of extraocular group of eye. Extraocular group of the eyeball. Then coming to the muscles of the nasal group, we have procerus, compressor naris, dilator naris, and also depressor nasus septi. Then coming to the muscles of the oral fissure. So the oral fissure having a sphincteric muscle that which mainly formed by orbicularis oris. Then other muscle that which get converges towards the orbicularis oris, that muscle we can say is the lateral set of the group of muscle. So that muscle we can say levator labiae superioris alecunaceae, levator labiae superioris, levator angulae oris, zygomaticus major, zygomaticus minor, rhizorius, then depressor angulae oris, depressor labiae inferioris, then you have the mentalis, the midline. Along that, you can see some fibers of plateau muscle that which comes from the neck region. So these are the muscles we can have in the face. So as I said, these are the muscles present in the face. All the three fissures which will be sphincter are closed by the orbital fissure which is closed by orbicularis oculi, the nostril which is closed by the compressor naris, then oral fissure which will be closed by the contraction of the orbicularis oris. Now individual muscle, if you are seeing that attachment, the orbicularis oculi here, it consists of three components, three parts. The three parts, the supercilious part, what we can say as the orbital part. Then second part we have got palpebral part. The third part we are having lacrimal part. So while seeing this muscle, in the skin over the, the superciliary fascia over the root of the neck, we can have two putaneous nerve, that which comes from the branches of the ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve, that is infra place of the organ, the muscle which come and get inserted. Now, the palpebral part, that which takes the origin from the medial palpebral ligament, that which passes along with respect to eyelids, that laterally which get attached to the lateral palpebral ligament. The lacrimal part, it is the deepermost part, that which takes origin from the lacrimal bore, just anterior to the lacrimal crest, and get inserted to the lacrimal sac or even fascia. So among these three parts of the orbicularis oculi, the action of this muscle contraction, orbital part, that which help for the tight closure of the eye, the palpebral fissure, palpebral part which helps in the gentle or light closure of the eyeball, eyelids. Then lacrimal part, that which may compress on the lacrimal sac, that which helps in the elimination of the lacrimal fluid. So this is the thing. Now this orbicularis oculi, that which is supplied by the two sources of the nerve. We have got the frontal branch, temporal branch of the facial nerve, and also the zygomatic branch of the facial nerve. Then carucata superciliae, that which takes origin from the medial part of the superciliary arch, get merges with the or attached with the lateral part of the superciliary arch, that is over below the eyebrow. Levator palpebrae superioris we can cover along with the extraocular group of muscle. Even frontalis muscle also which get inserted in the or mingling with the orbicularis oculi, get continuous with the superior eyelids along with the aponeurosis. So this is the orbital groove, we can say. So that nasal groove, as I already said, you have proceres over here, then compressor nares you have got, then dilator nares, depressor nasal septum. Then muscles of the oral groove, as already said, the important muscle, we can see the levator papillary superioris alecunase, that having two slits. After taking origin from the frontal process of maxilla, which descend downwards, get divided into two slits. One which goes to the ala of the nose, another one which goes to the superior lip. Then, levator labia superioris, that which takes origin from the area below the infraorbital margin and above the infraorbital foramen. This also which descend downwards get mingled with the lateral aspect of the angle of the mouth. The levator angularis, it is deeper muscle, that which takes the origin from the area below the infraorbital foramen and from the incisive fossa. Incisive or lateral to that we are having the canine fossa. From there, that muscle which takes origin, that which get merges with the orbicularis oris muscle. Then zygomaticus major, it is a lateralmost muscle, that which takes origin from the zygomatic bone, that which runs downwards medially, get mingled with the orbicularis oris. Then you have got zygomaticus minor, it's a deeper one, that which covered or lies deep to the levator labia superioris alecunase as well as levator labia superioris. So that also which takes origin from the anterior part of the zygomatic bone, then which doesn't get inserted into the upper lip of the oral fissure. Then coming to the rhizorius, it is the posterior or uppermost part of the platysma muscle, that which takes origin from the parotid fascia and also from the continuation of the platysma muscle. So this rhizorius, the part of levator angula oris, zygomaticus major, depressor angula oris, and buccinator muscle. So all this muscle which will be taking attachment with the nodular dense mass. That mass is nothing but modulus. That modulus will be present 1.25 centimeter lateral to the angle of the mouth. Coming to remaining muscles of the face in the oral groove, we have depressor angula oris. This is the depressor angula oris, that which takes origin from the posterior part of the oblique line or the external aspect of the body of the mandible, that which get mingled with the oral orbicularis oris or in the lateral angle of the mouth. Then depressor labia inferioris, that which takes origin from the anterior part of the oblique ligament, that which ascend upwards and get mingled with the or merges with the lower lip. Then coming to the orbicularis oris, it consists of 2 or 3 stratum of fiber. So that stratum, what we can say, intrinsic part or deep stratum, that will be thin in nature, that which takes origin from the incisive force of the upper alveolar process as well as lower alveolar process, that which goes for the angle of the mouth. Then superficial to that, we have external stratum, that will be thick in nature, that which takes origin from all the muscle which get converges over the lateral angle of the mouth. So in that, the fiber which goes along with the respective lip. So we are having 2 stratum of the orbicularis oris as intrinsic part or internal portion, then extending part is the thick portions we are having in the articularis oris. So this muscle which mainly make the closing of oral cavity. The deep to that, the muscle will be seen, that is the puccinator. The puccinator, it is an important muscle that which helps for the process of the mastication, that we can consider along with the mastication process also, and also which mainly making it helping the speech and also swallowing. So that muscle which consists of 3 or 4 parts. The upper part that which takes origin from the maxilla, just opposite to the last 3 molar teeth. The lower fiber that which takes origin from the mandible, just opposite to the root of the last 3 molar teeth. So the middle fiber that which takes origin from the pterygomandibular raphe, and also a fibrous band that which stitches from the pterygoid maxillary tuberosity with the pterygoid hamulus. So in that, the middle fiber which may get decussate in the angle, so the lower part which goes upper lip, then upper fiber which goes to the lower lip, whereas the corresponding upper fiber and the lower fiber which passes along with the respective lip of the oral cavity.